I've been noticing these days that parents are mostly in survival mode, yelling, snapping, talking down on their children. The frustration isn't clearly about the child, it's life spilling over. And I understand. We all get it that life is hard. We need to be at places at certain times. We need to get things done. We need to check things off our list. But here's what so many don't realize is happening underneath that. Through yelling, what a child's nervous system is learning is I am not safe here. It teaches them that speaking up is not safe and making mistakes is not safe. And therefore, they aren't able to be themselves fully. And the result is withdrawal. This is when your child would say, I don't know, or they aren't able to look into an adult's eyes. It's not a personality type. A lot of the times, that is the nervous system in protection mode. I get asked often, your children are homeschooled, but they are so social. They talk to anyone, any age. How? And my answer is, it's not about what they learn. It's about the atmosphere they breathe. The way you speak with them at home either fills them up or empties them out. And here I'm gonna point out 3 things that build real confidence. Number 1, dignity in your tone. Even when you're correcting, behavior can be addressed without attacking the person. No shame, no sarcasm, steady tone, eye contact, and getting down to their level. For example, my son goes into the library and he starts yelling out to his brother or sister. I walk up to him and I remind him, quiet voice in the library. I don't tell him, don't yell, don't scream. We don't point out what we don't want. We're focusing on what it is that we want to see from the child. And we're doing it in a calm way. In a way where this is how I would like my friend to point out something to me. No one likes to be yelled at or attacked. So we're addressing the behavior without attacking the person. You're gonna see more compliance when you're using that tone. I was in the library the other day and someone was trying to guide their child out of the library as the time has expired. The mom needs to go do some other things, or the father. And now she's feeling late, she's feeling frustrated, she's getting aggravated. The child's not coming, no matter what she did. She shamed him, she used sarcasm, she threatened him, she manipulated him, she told him that he's gonna get a reward if he comes out. She said she was gonna call the dad. She said that she was gonna call the librarian. She talked about timeout. Nothing that the mom would say helped the child stop crying and come out with her to leave the library. In fact, the tantrum only increased. Children want power. They want to feel powerful, even if they're 2 years old. They want to feel like they have a choice in the making. They get to make the choice. If you give them power, whether they were 2 or 16, you need to try to give them a choice. You need to engage them in deciding. You need to let them in on deciding with you. They want to feel like they are in charge of their experience. Who doesn't want to feel like that? Let your kids have a say. Let your kids make a mistake. I see a lot of people don't allow their children to make mistakes because of fear of judgment or fear of other people, fear of who's watching or who's gonna say what. Allow your children to make a mistake and allow someone to correct them. Allow them to be responsible for their own experience sometimes, if they're not hurting themselves. First of all, when we enter a space, I like to give expectations to my children. And I don't really list out a million things. Sometimes their attention span, even if they are older, I am stressing on that because we think oh, well, he's a teenager, he should know this and he should do that and he should be able to. Well, not everyone has. Okay, most of the time, our children's brains are focused somewhere else. And so sometimes they can't hear us. Sometimes we need to repeat ourselves. Sometimes they're focused. I love to say that I love when my child's not listening. We think that they're not listening because that means that they're focused on something in the moment that means that my child is focused, he's concentrated. And so I either wait or I remind them. So I like to give 1 or 2 expectations before we go somewhere. It doesn't mean that they're gonna get it 100% right, so I don't get my expectations up in that way. But when I feel or I see my child misbehave, and this is the point that we're gonna talk about later on, I start envisioning the version of him that is obedient, that is listening, that is following instructions, that is making good choices. Basically, give them a warning, like, we're leaving in 10 minutes, you're stopping the game in 10 minutes, there's 10 more minutes. This will make your power struggle much easier. And if you forget to give them a reminder about what time you're leaving, you could say something like, would you like to leave now or in 10 minutes? So he's still feeling that he has power over his experience, over his moment, and so he is going to answer you and he is going to follow through. If he doesn't follow through in the beginning, it's because he still doesn't believe that things can go his way. You have to understand, our children want power. You need to give them power in a healthy way. You have to give them power because they need that power in order to feel confident later on. Number 2, this is where we'll tap into conscious parenting a little bit. Let them see how you handle your emotions. You don't have to be a robot. Just at least name the feeling and take a minute. Most of the time, when I feel something, I need space. I don't want anybody to hug me or touch me or console me. And a lot of us are in this way, and so this helps us learn the love language of each other as well. This teaches children that big emotions are safe and manageable. And mention what you actually do. I'm feeling frustrated right now. I'm gonna take a minute. One of the best things you can model is emotional regulation in real time. And if you slip, say sorry. I was really frustrated earlier. I spoke harshly. Sorry. That teaches them repair. That teaches them that they can make mistakes and it's not the end of the world. That teaches them nobody's perfect and connection can be rebuilt. Point number 3, and this is my favorite. Speak to who they're becoming, not just what they are doing. Call out the strength you see, especially when they are nervous or struggling. And trust me, they're going to rise to that vision you hold of them. My 13-year-old struggles when he is getting a certain problem wrong over and over again, and they kind of push him to repeat it on the app that we're using. And so I need to step in because I'm usually beside him when he is working, when he is doing his schoolwork. I'm doing my own work, and so I hear and I see what is happening. I don't look his way because I don't want him to feel defensive. But as he is getting nervous and he is clearly struggling, calling himself names maybe, I remind him that when you're making a mistake, new pathways are forming inside your brain every time you make a mistake. Or remember that time when you were feeling the same way and you got through? Or you could do hard things. Or I heard my son today telling his younger sister, I believe that you can do it. You're gonna say, well, they're gonna feel frustrated or more angry, or now it might turn on me. I'm going to be the calm in their storm. I'm not going to talk back. I'm just going to listen. It doesn't mean that it's okay for them to speak badly or down on their mother or anything like that. No. Well, correction comes later. First, it's connection. You're gonna connect with your child first. And connecting with them is understanding them. Some children, you can talk to them in the background, and some children don't like it, or they tell you to stop talking, or they tell you that they need space. But they heard you saying that they are capable of doing hard things. And so in the background, it's there. You planted the seed. How it blooms and when it blooms is not on you. And so these are the 3 points that I like to share with you today. And the results are, my 9-year-old can go down to the park and play with children and ask, can I join? Or would you like to play? And it didn't happen the first time or the second time or the third time. And my daughter would come after a couple minutes saying that there are no friends. She doesn't know anybody. Nobody wants to be her friend. Nobody wants to play with her. And I would understand. I would listen. I wouldn't shut her feelings down. I wouldn't try to correct them. I would tell her, oh, that must feel horrible. I didn't like when that would happen. I would feel lonely, or that would feel frustrating. How are you feeling? And she would say, oh, Mom, just stop telling me that stuff. Sometimes she would say, just stop. And sometimes she would answer, because it takes time for them to start believing that you understand them or you're listening. And then she would open up sometimes and say, well, clearly nobody wants to play with me. And so I would tell her, well, go back to the playground and try to find someone. If you want to play with them, ask them if you can join. Tell them that you want to join. And so she would go and not come back. And sometimes she would come back. We wouldn't say this is a hard day. We say that I'm having a hard time in this moment. And it's okay to take space and relax and concentrate on yourself. What could you do for yourself right now? And she would find something to do. Little by little, she started to get the courage to ask or to go play with someone else. Another thing that really helps with confidence is using affirmations. Before we go to an event or somewhere in the car, I would rehearse with my children. I am loved, I am lovable, people love me. Because sometimes when kids are around toxic people or in toxic environments, wherever they are, they start to have insecurities, or they start to feel like they are less than, or they start to feel like everyone is angry. If he was angry, if she was angry, then everyone's angry now. And we talked about being in that protective space with your nervous system, trying to feel safe, right? So you put your walls up and you close off. That's why we said when a parent is regulating their emotions, then the child can feel safe. And when the child feels safe, they are able to be themselves, express what they really feel, what they really want. They're able to voice what they want, and they're able to participate and speak up. Speak up. You say, speak up, don't be afraid. Well, when I spoke last time, this is what you did, or this was your reaction. That's what you would find deep down if your child opens up to you. So yeah, sometimes you're not gonna like what your child says or what he does or how he acts, but you gotta accept that. You have to accept your child. A big part of giving them confidence is accepting them. A lot of times you don't like what your child says. You correct them in public, show that you're polite. Say thank you. Why aren't you saying thank you? You're not saying thank you. Thank you. Then you tell the person thank you. You're disempowering your child. Nobody cares about you in the way that you're thinking like that. No one's going around saying that your child's disrespectful, or your child wasn't raised well, or that's all from your negative thinking, from your overthinking. Nobody cares about you that much in the way that you're thinking. They're actually that's why it's good to use affirmations like I'm loved, I'm lovable, people love me, people accept me. Allow the child to be themselves, express themselves, say stuff, even if you think it's embarrassing, or if you think it's uncomfortable, or if you think they're gonna embarrass themselves. Allow them to make mistakes. The other day, I was at a mosque and I couldn't find my daughter because I was like so into the lecture, to the point where, my mind was with the scholar, and I'm like, where is she? I went to look for her, and she was in the shop. She was talking with older girls, and for some reason, I feel like her soul is mature, so she's always hanging out with older girls, like in their teens, and she's 9. And so My old self would overthink, would start thinking like, oh my God, what is she telling her? What is she saying? And I would start overthinking. She's gonna embarrass herself, or something is gonna happen, or she's gonna have a bad experience, or someone's gonna push her away. And I know that this is my inner child being afraid from previous experiences. So instead of projecting on my daughter, I went back inside and sat in my spot. And my child comes in with that girl, and they sit in front of me. And they're talking, they're smiling, they're relaxed, they're at peace. Everything is going well. But again, my old self would have made a show or a scene from that moment. And that would have paralyzed my daughter in the future to approach anybody or do anything. Because now she was going to pull her walls up and she was going to be afraid of that experience. Instead, her confidence grew. So allow your children to choose, even if you don't like the choice, if it's not anything against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Like, for example, if they're choosing a certain reciter for the Quran that they're listening to, allow them. Don't say, oh no, this is what I like. Like, pick this reciter because I used to listen to him when I was younger. Listen, guys, I share with my children what I used to listen to as well. But I tell them this is my childhood song or this is my childhood reciter. But I don't force them, or I don't tell them that this is what they need to listen to. Even if I was raised in that way, I allow them to have their experience, and I witness it. I watch them. I watch them grow into the person that they're supposed to be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent you these beautiful blessings, these beautiful children, for you to witness them, not for you to make them a small version of you. And if you guys are saying, well, everyone's in survival mode, everyone is yelling, everyone is like that around me, but you don't need to be like that. You could step out of there right now. It starts with how you speak to your child the next time they make a mistake or they talk back. Inshallah, on this channel, my goal is for us to help each other build humans who aren't afraid of the world. And so subscribe if you want to raise kids who walk into any room and feel at home within themselves. You could also comment under this video any interaction that felt off this week, and I will give you a gentle rephrase in the comments. I hope this video brings some clarity into your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.